Hey, Jarrett Lau here with Profitable Properties Boston. We buy in two major metropolitan markets. The first is going to be the greater Boston, Mass area, and the second is going to be in the New Hampshire area, specifically for us, the Cheshire County. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be doing a benefit versus negatives of each one and letting you know which one wins out. Building permits, doing renovations. Boston has very stringent laws. You need to be a licensed general contractor or the homeowner of the property to be able to go and pull permits. There's going to be the rough and the final inspections. Up in New Hampshire, on the other hand, there is no building permits. You don't need to be a general contractor or anything to be able to do renovations on your property. There are still permits for plumbing and electrical, but New Hampshire wins in my book. Landlord-tenant laws. Boston getting tougher and tougher by the day, becoming more tenant friendly. New Hampshire, on the other hand, is going to be a little bit more lax for the landlords and easier to evict and to be able to work with the court systems to be able to get a tenant out and to deal with them as well. So New Hampshire wins in my book. Appreciation. So, New Hampshire probably has a little bit more land than Massachusetts. With that being said, their actual vacancy rates are below 1%. Boston's actually creeping up higher. I would say from an appreciation standpoint though, from a supply-demand constraints aspect, we have Boston that goes up more in value. And I think a lot of that comes down to just the baseline value itself. In Boston, units are going to be anywhere between $400,000 and $500,000 plus. New Hampshire, you can find them for about 100 to 125. So if you have inflation alone of 3% of 500,000 is going to be a lot more than the 3% of 100 grand. So Boston wins in that case. Taxes. So there's no estate taxes in New Hampshire. In Massachusetts, it's not that we're cheap. It's definitely known still as Taxachusetts, but the property tax rates are going to be less in Massachusetts than it is going to be in New Hampshire because they need to get a lot of their taxes from the properties versus no income tax. So Massachusetts wins in that one. Ease of residence. So we found that New Hampshire residents thus far have been a lot more friendly, a lot more laid back. Live free or die is their motto up there than some of the Boston residents that sometimes they can be very demanding and have higher expectations. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have high expectations by any means, but we found it a little bit easier to working with our New Hampshire residents than our Massachusetts residents. Availability of properties. Again, supply and demand. There's going to be a lot more properties in Boston. A lot more properties might come up on the market. New Hampshire, we don't see that many actual properties come up on the market. And when they do, there's still extreme demand even in what they would consider a slow market. So I would say Boston wins on the supply end of it. Now, the most important thing is return on investment. So we personally use something such as a cap rate or the 1% rule. Massachusetts, that's impossible to be able to use that 1% rule. That 1% rule is 1% of the purchase price equals the rent. And what I mean by that is for every 100,000, we would need about $1,000 in rent. Massachusetts, Boston area specifically, that's about 4 to 5, half of that. So you would look for every 100,000, you might get about $400 to $500 in rent. New Hampshire, on the other hand, we are getting anywhere between 1 to 1.5% on our unit. So that means for every 100,000 I'm spending, I'm getting about $1,250 to $1,500. So New Hampshire definitely wins on that. So overall, I would say that New Hampshire has been our win. We've bought about 50 units up there in the past 6 months and we continue to buy. So if you or anyone else is looking to purchase additional properties and want to explore an area outside of Massachusetts, feel free to reach out to me. Share it with Profitable Properties Boston.